Hello and welcome to Seek and Find. My name is Adam Anton. I serve as the Director of Outreach here at St. Teresa's. The first thing I want to say is we're recording this in the week following Easter, so I wanted to wish you all a very happy Easter. The 8 days following Easter is called the octave. The really exciting and beautiful thing about the Easter celebration is that it's so rich and it has so much depth and meaning to it that we can't pack it into one day. So the church says, all right, for the next 8 days, we're going to celebrate the resurrection very intensely, as if it's Easter Sunday itself, right? So enjoy that, celebrate, rejoice in the new life that Christ won for you. So I hope you had a wonderful time with friends and family. For this episode, we're going to be talking about a very hot button issue. We're going to be talking about something that can be very sensitive. The question that came in was, why does the Catholic Church consider homosexuality to be an abomination? There's a lot of things that need to be clarified in this conversation. So the first thing is Archbishop Fulton Sheen, who was very popular in the 1950s, he even had his own broadcasted television show called Life is Worth Living. But he said, oftentimes people don't really hate the Catholic Church, they hate what they believe to be the Catholic Church, right? And so a lot of times in our culture and society, people will say, well, like the church hates gays or the church hates people who are gay, and it's like, no, that's not true, right? That's not what we teach, that's not what we believe. So let's slow the conversation down and really get into the nitty-gritty of what do we actually teach and why, right? The first thing is, and the Catechism is very clear, that all people are to be treated with respect and dignity, including those who experience same-sex attraction, right? They're God's children, period. The question becomes, we have to distinguish between people and actions, right? So society today, people are always like, well, you can't judge me. You can't judge people, right? And in reality, like, you're right. You can't judge people, but you can judge actions, right? If that wasn't the case, there would be no point in having laws. There would be no point in having courts, right? But we can look at actions and we can say, that's not what we're supposed to be doing. That's not what is intended. That's not what this was designed for, whatever. So what the church says is, if somebody experiences same-sex attraction, if somebody experiences being attracted, for a man to be attracted to another man, a woman to be attracted to another woman, that attraction, it's not a sin, right? They can't control that. What they can control is their actions, right? So it's one thing to have the same-sex attraction. It's a whole separate thing to act on it, right? And so really, the sinful part is the action, not the attraction, all right? And the thought might come, okay, well, that doesn't seem to make sense. That doesn't seem to be fair, right? But I think it's important to think about God's creation and his design, right? Everything ultimately has an end. Everything has a purpose. Everything is moving towards something, including the gift of our sexuality, right? The church teaches that our human sexuality has two primary ends, which is unity and procreation, okay? The image that I heard a few months ago, I guess, that I thought was very fitting was, imagine if you went to buy a new car. You went to the car dealership, you bought a diesel truck, and you pulled it off the lot. And they told you this is a diesel truck, and you need to be taking care of it as such. But you pull off the lot and you say, you know what, unleaded is cheaper, right? So I'm going to use unleaded gas in my diesel truck. And you know what else? Those dealerships and those repair shops, they're scammers, right? I don't need oil changes. Well, what's going to happen to the car? Well, you're not going to have it for long because it's going to slowly just deteriorate. Why? Because the engineers who designed the car, the people who made the car, the people who know the car, know how it runs best and what to do in order for it to have longevity, right? To run at its optimal pace. Why would we think that something as simple as a car would have a design and a purpose, but that something as complex and beautiful as our human sexuality would not, right? It does. And we see that within our very persons. We see that within the scriptures, that God has a design From the very beginning, he created them in his image and likeness, male and female, to be fertile and multiply, right? So, in the same way that the person might say, I'm going to put unleaded in a diesel car because it's cheaper or whatever, sometimes people say, this is how I feel, this is what gives me comfort, this is what I want to do, and that's what I'm going to do. And Pope Benedict XVI said, the world will offer you comfort, but you weren't made for comfort. You were made for greatness, right? So I think it's important to realize, no, it's not easy. And for those of you, I know for myself, I have very close friends who do experience same-sex attraction, and I love them the same way that I love any other of my friends, right? So they're not, we don't want to be treating people differently, but we do want to be encouraging them to live the call that Jesus gives them, right? To live to the gospel values. And it's difficult, right? Because in the culture, what can happen is on the one side, we have these really radical fundamentalists, right? Who are beating the Bible, and they're like, people who experience same-sex attraction are going to hell. And first of all, it's not really necessarily in the Bible. And second of all, that's the terrible approach. On the flip side, you have certain people in pop culture and entertainment, and they're saying, you're born this way, do whatever you want, you have no control over your actions, you have no self-control, right? It's like, well, no, I'm not an animal, I experience things, but I can control what I do and what I say. So the church is really the healthy medium. It's like, well, we're not denying that this is a true experience that you're having, and that it's not always easy and that it's a difficult one, and we're not saying that you're condemned or that you're bad. What we are saying is, this is a reality, but that Jesus is calling you to a life of virtue in the midst of this reality, right? And it goes back to that original design. So, so the next time you're out and you hear somebody in your group of friends, or oh, well, the church hates gays, you can clearly, confidently tell them that that's nonsense. We love them. They're God's children, right? But what you can share with them is the beauty of our understanding of our sexuality, and also just kind of that design, right? And but more than anything, especially in our culture today, when people can be very attack-oriented, we want to be sure that we're also upholding the dignity of every individual. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any other questions, keep them coming. I hope you have a blessed week.